Everybody, it's just gone 7 o'clock here in the UK. If you're watching on the replay, massive shout out to you. Don't know what time it is there for you, but thank you so much for watching. Hope the next hour or so is going to be incredibly valuable. I've got an awesome guest tonight, one of the country's most successful casting directors, cast some awesome stuff. Humans recently for Channel 4, if you saw Series 3 of that. We're keeping our fingers crossed for Series 4. Unforgotten, Broadchurch, Grantchester, just so many incredible programmes. Mr. Victor Jenkins, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
How was that for an intro?
Very good. That'll do.
It's all right, that wasn't it? We went from chatting about like putting the world to rights to a slick intro in 3 seconds. So everybody, right? How this is going to work tonight? It's only going to work if you get involved. Okay, like usual. There's a lot of people here who attend these live broadcasts live a lot. I want to say hello to Scott, Heather, Carly, Lindsay, Simon, Dan, Mr. Hollyoaks himself, Dan Gillings in the house, Eloise, Dawn Wolfington, Tracy, Nina. There's so many people here. Victor, Brian, Samantha, Wendy, Lucinda. Another 7 people haven't logged into the chat yet, so please log in. And whilst people are logging in, let us know you can hear us loud and clear for a start. Whilst people are logging in, Victor, we'll have a little catch up because I did a podcast with you and Kelly Valentine Henry. We were just trying to figure out how long ago it was. It was like 3 years, do you reckon?
Might be 4, you know.
4 years, freaking hell.
Yeah.
4 years. Flies by, and I was saying though it's still one of the most listened to podcasts on the site, and I think a good reason for that was the honesty that you and Kelly brought to the table. One thing stood out for me in that podcast that you both agreed on, and you said, I can't remember if it was you or Kelly who said this, but you both said ultimately we are looking for a reason not to bring you in sometimes, and it was a bit of a paradigm shift for me when it came to casting, because I think as actors we're like, what can I do to be seen, to be brought in? And you were like, listen guys, sometimes you can do too much, and like, you know, we'll see something that we really like you for, and then we'll see something else and we're like, okay, there's the reason not to bring you in. Do you still agree with that? Is that something that you still resonates with you?
That was in relation to show reels.
Yeah.
So, you know, if there's people that we don't know, we will go through Spotlight, have a look, we'll, you know, someone fits the category we're looking for. Then if there's a show reel, we'll look at that show reel. And it is about trying to filter down the hundreds, thousands of people into the ones we can meet or do self-tapes. And so the show reels gives us an indication of what you've done before and what it's like. And yeah, it is a matter of us trying to limit our numbers by giving everyone due diligence and working out, going to go, you know what, that on the show reel, that's not quite what we're looking for. So we'll move on.
Yep. How do you think, I mean, have they, I don't know, how have show reels changed in the last 4 years then since we last spoke? What are you seeing now that you're like, okay, people are doing it differently a little bit, or I really like that, or, you know, what you're seeing that is putting you off still?
Nothing. I mean, putting you off is just putting old stuff first. I mean, most people tend to put the newer stuff first and always the best stuff first, because we would only look at the first few minutes anyway. Less and less montages, which is great.
Less and less montages. The only man in the world who I've ever met who likes a montage, mate of yours as well, Mr. Daniel Edwards.
See, I'd like a montage, but at the end, yeah, Daniel loves them anyway. It's just like, choose a banging track at the end of it, and then off you go.
Just loves music videos. But yeah, I remember like back in the day, every show reel like 10 years ago that I saw all started with slow motion walking away from an exploding car to music,
and then we judge you on your music choice as well.
Yeah. Well, what tracks are your favourites?
Oh, it depends. One bit of energy sometimes.
Something with energy. Don't put anything sad on there. Looks like we are coming through loud and clear. Veronica says, I laughed out loud 3 times listening to that podcast with you, Victor. I was in the weight section at the gym, so I seemed like a mad woman. Don't know what you're laughing at, Veronica, but glad we entertained you. So everything's coming through loud and clear, which is good. I want to make this as useful as possible for you guys, right? I don't want to just kind of like talk generally with Victor. We've done that on the podcast. You can go listen to that. It's like an hour and a half or something like that, 2 hours we had a chat for. I want to help you guys with like personal acting career stuff tonight, like where you are in the industry. If you have a blockage right now between where you are and where you want to be, let's talk about it. And hopefully, you know, Victor can take you in the right direction, give you some actionable advice that, you know, is really going to help you. In general, Victor, what have you seen over the last 3 years in the industry, has it changed much as, like, you know, we're getting more into the self-taping kind of world now? I'm getting asked to do more of those than ever before, really, like in terms of, I think casting directors are in the UK particularly, you know, are casting from tapes, or at least initially kind of, you know, seeing people for round one through tapes. What other stuff have you seen that's how it's evolved?
The self-tapes are the main thing, and that allows us to see more people. It's as simple as that. And before anyone asks about this, we will always watch them. Sometimes you put them on Vimeo and you can have a view count and it'll say 0. That's because we've downloaded it, put it on our platform and watched it that way. So never look at the view count. It doesn't mean we haven't seen it. But self-tapes, a lot more co-pros, there's a lot more opportunity, I think. There's a lot of stuff on television, certainly, that's coming through. In terms of changes, other than that, it's all pretty much the same, I'd say.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's more opportunity. The world has opened up, so it's not just people in this country that are getting the opportunity on self-tape. It's also international as well. Well,
you just cast The Rook. Are we allowed to talk about that? Or I mean, I've seen press releases about it. So, so that's a US drama. Yeah. What was the process like for casting that? Was that, you know?
Well, the great thing is, it's an Australian novel. Is the source material, all set in London. So it's an English cast, bar Olivia Munn, and. Again, it's just we had a few straight offers. We did some self-tapes. The slight difference in the American system is that they like to do test deals, which means they'll send up 4 people for the lead. They'll have done the deal already, and whoever the exec chooses will be definitely doing that job.
Oh, right. Just explain that a little bit. That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so on network television and Starz, HBO, what tends to happen is that you have to send a selection of people for each part. Leads, everything. So you'd have your 3 or 4 people come in for recalls for the leads. You would say you want to get them approved or do test deals. So the financials and the options and all that kind of stuff will be done before you come in and do a final recall. So you've signed your contract before your final recall, and you may not get the job. It's terrible, right. Because then you might, you know, you can spend the money in your head, but you're not guaranteed to get the job.
Oh my God, I've never heard this before.
You've had to talk about the finances and your commitment, you know, the options for 4 or 5 years. So it's a pretty brutal system, which is why we don't do it here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, God, yeah, that's like...
It's horrible. And to be fair, on this one, we did it once, and then I said, it's just not here. If you're going to film here, you can do it our way. Yeah.
Never again. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm bad. Like, if I get, you know, penciled for like even a commercial, you go, right, it's $5,000, spent it straight away. Yeah, just telling you then what new iMac in my head. I'm like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, yeah, that's pretty brutal, but that's really interesting how that works. I've never seen that before. In terms of, there's a load of online platforms now. Obviously, Netflix. Daniel Edwards just cast an awesome drama called The Innocents. Yeah. Big Netflix series that's been optioned for like potentially 6 series.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the first series begins in August this year. Incredible, you know, show. Really, really different. Yeah. How do you think the online platforms are affecting the industry around? I mean, I think like the BBC and ITV and, you know, the other networks here need to like really start worrying a little bit, as in like people, you know, don't need to rely on the broadcasters now. They can go direct to these companies, and, you know, Netflix will commission stuff. Amazon Prime will commission stuff. Yeah. How do you think that's changing the game?
It's changing slowly, and it will change more. At the moment, we've got a lot of co-production. So Safe was a co-production with Netflix and Canal Plus, the French platform. Troy Full of a City was a co-production between BBC and Netflix. I think Marcella's ITV and Netflix. Last Kingdom was BBC and Netflix. So they're doing a lot of co-productions, which is allowing the network over here to show it first, and then globally it'll go on their platform. So something like Troy, for instance, was on BBC, then on iPlayer. Now you can't watch it in this country, but in any other country around the world, you can watch the whole series.
Ah, okay, right.
So, and what happens is, because our budgets are infinitely smaller than American series, it means that we make our series in terms of URI on a BBC or ITV budget, but then Netflix, AMC, whoever come in, Amazon come in and just throw a shitload of money at it, like American TV.
That's it, honestly. I mean, like Amazon, particularly Amazon Prime, like, you know, their pockets seem. I mean, Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, like incredibly deep pockets. He's not worrying about, you know, $20 million, you know, on extra for a show or something like that. I think it's like, I think just online distribution in general is massively empowering for actors. And also, you know, let's just not forget, you know, forget Netflix and Amazon Prime. Let's not forget like stuff like YouTube Red, you know, platforms where actors with no budget can distribute their stuff. Have you seen anybody in the industry creating their own work where you've gone, wow, you know, like that's really impressive, or you've brought people in because you've seen somebody creating their own stuff online? Because I'm massive on this. I'm like, you know what, don't wait for other people to give you opportunities. Like, you can go and create your own stuff very cheaply and distribute it on a tiny budget now.
Yeah, short films rather than series. It tends to be about the short films we can watch. You can get an idea of the story.